I've talked about the who before. Now I've talked about the who, not the band, the who, or not the band before that, the guess who. I've talked about your identity and understanding that your identity is not in the what, but in the who. Not in the what you have, not in the car you drive, not in the job you have, not in the relationship that you're in. It's not in the whats of life. That's not going to bring any happiness. It's not going to bring any fulfillment. It may bring some temporary happiness, but it's not going to bring joy. It's not going to bring fulfillment, because you know as well as I, you can think of a time in your life to where you really thought you needed this thing. Maybe it was a new car. That's an easy one. We've all wanted a new car. And you've done whatever you need. You've gone to the car dealership, you've shopped around, you've gone online, you've priced, but you know it's a little bit out of your reach, but you really want this car. And so you do all that you can. You sacrifice whatever you need to have this car. You may even put down very little. You may lease it and then get totally upside down in it, but that's in the future. But you do whatever it takes to get this car, and you get this car, you drive it off the lot. That didn't bring all the fulfillment that I thought it was going to. It's just a car. It gets you from point A to point B. Typically it has 4 wheels. Maybe it was a motorcycle and it has 2. Maybe it was a tricycle and it has 3. But it's just a car. It gets you from point A to point B. See, it's not in the whats. That's not what your identity's wrapped up in. It's in the who. It's in the who loves you, God. It's in the who, the one who created you, God. It's in the who, the one who has a plan and a purpose for your life, God. And you see, wrapped up in the who, it's love. Because if God didn't love you, He wouldn't have created you. And if God didn't love you, He wouldn't have a plan and a purpose for your life. It's wrapped up in love, and one day, these guys were trying to trick Jesus. And they came up to Jesus and they said, hey, what's the greatest commandment? Right? Because you have the whole Decalogue, the 10 Commandments in the Old Testament. And these guys, they knew the law pretty well. And they would try to trick Jesus. And Jesus said, really, it can be wrapped up like this. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and your soul and your mind and your strength, and love your neighbors as yourself. Because you see, really, in those 2 statements of love, therein lies all 10 commandments. Loving God, loving others. And oftentimes in our life, we get it a little backwards, because I believe that's the right order. Oftentimes we're focused on loving others. We're focused on maybe an earthly relationship. And really, it's not the relationship that we should be pursuing, a relationship with other people. It's not that relationship that comes first. It's our relationship with God. Because you see, this is what happens, because this is the way we're created, because we're created by God. And this is what He created us to do. He created us to pursue Him. I know it goes against our nature because we're born of a sin nature, but when we surrender ourselves and we submit ourselves to the Lord, we pursue God. And as we pursue God, we fall more in love with Him on a daily basis. We grow in our relationship with Him. And then as this whole vertical relationship becomes what God intended for it to be, this whole horizontal relationship lines up as it's supposed to be. You know, a question I get oftentimes is a relationship question. You know, Pastor Clayton, or hey you, I want to find God's person for my life. Well, pursue God. Yeah, but isn't there that one person that God's created for me? Well, yeah, I believe so. How do you find them? Well, the way you find them is you don't go looking for them. You go looking for God. And as you are headed towards God, He opens up your eyes when it's the right time. And He allows you to look to your left and your right. And He allows you to see those people who are also pursuing God, just as you are. You see, our identity, it's not wrapped up in the whats. It's wrapped up in the who. And in the who is love. So first love God. And then when that relationship's what God intended for it to be, and you're in the right place, as a natural overflow of your heart, you'll love others. And then you'll figure out this whole deal we call the journey.